Yeah, yeah. According to this, we're live. We're
Okay.
live. We're live. We're live.
The ever killing cup of coffee. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Hi out there in Twitch and YouTube and Facebook land.
In the Twitcherverse,
Yes, the Twitcherverse.
the Twitcherverse, the Facebookverse, YouTubers.
Yeah. How's everyone doing this morning? We treat you to some nice morning time music, but we keep getting copyright strikes on those, so we're gonna not do
Just
that.
that one. Did we get another one?
Second one. They only mute the video. They don't take it down. They just mute it for like
Oh,
10 seconds.
yeah. Oh, holy crap, we've been demonetized.
Yeah.
Anyway,
My money have been demonetized.
demonetized. No,
Um,
no. Anyway,
they haven't made a dime.
just like independent comics, we do this for the love of it.
That's right. That's
And that's what we keep telling ourselves.
YouTube. I read your book.
YouTube. YouTube, you magnificent bastard. I read your book.
Oh, how's everyone doing out there today? This is, of course, the Indie Volt breakfast. Indie Volt. Wow, Indie Volt breakfast buzz. How's everyone doing? I.
We might have to go back to the coffee.
Oh, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. My name is Varian Grant. I am the host, co-owner of Last Call Comics for the last 7 or so years. Founder of IndieVolt Media LLC. Got my start making comics way back in 2008. Um, First book I ever published, self-published, was a black and white interior action comedy called Psycho Sirens. I'm a father, a husband, a geek, a creator, a publisher, reluctant taxpayer, and artist. Shamefully, not in that order. And you are watching the Indie Volt Breakfast Buzz. Today, I am joined by.
Hey, everybody, I'm Randy Zimmerman. I'm an independent comics and alternative comics publisher, creator. Done just about everything in the direct market that you can imagine. Held every job, wore just about every hat. Garrow Comics, Weeby Comics, Massive Comics. I printed under, worked for a lot of different independent publishers over the years. I am a award-winning commercial and graphic artist, a lot of which is centered around sequential artwork, and just a deep, deep lover of comics. I have the Zim Geek channel on YouTube. If you ever get a chance, swing by. And for the last 10 years, I've been doing a newspaper around my county area where we've been moving 10,000 copies of a comics and entertainment newspaper. And anything that's left over, we just do local shows and hand them out. It was advertiser supported. And I live just a little south of Flint, Michigan. And if you know Flint and the water situation, the advertising dollars on that just kind of dried up. So now I'm looking at the comics market again. So here we are. And we're back here doing a podcast with Indie Volt. So
Yeah, we
thanks for
got
coming on.
we've got well, for one, I have to draw our intro, the Buzz intro.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I should remind people
Yeah.
that today we got stuff to talk about. We got something that happened after the show Tuesday, and then we got some news that broke all throughout since that show.
Breaking news.
So yeah, we'll talk about that, and maybe we'll talk about that movie that's coming out this weekend. It's a little small indie movie coming out this weekend.
Some movie.
Yeah, some movie.
Independent film.
Yeah, some small little like.
Oh, it
art
can't be.
piece.
It can't be Frozen 2 because that was like last weekend.
No, yeah. So stay with us. I'm gonna roll that intro. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
Hang on. And if you are live and watching us this morning, pop into the chat and let us know what's happening.
Yeah, you can send us chat messages from pretty
Don't be
much anywhere.
don't be afraid to say hello.
Yeah. So Randy,
We just lost somebody.
I should
I saw that.
I should tell you.
Screw these people. I'm not talking anywhere.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they're like, I'm not watching these guys.
I'm not watching these guys. I don't have time for this crap.
It's almost a holiday. So Randy, I promised that I would try to trigger you online today.
You're gonna try to trigger me?
Try to. First of all, did you read where the U.S. Department of Agriculture listed Wakanda as a free trade partner?
I saw that. That was awesome. And the idiots took it down. That's the
Yeah,
sad thing. They should have just left it there.
yeah.
So that when somebody, from who knows where goes, well, you've got Wakanda listed as a free trade partner,
Hmm.
and have the trade secretary go, yeah, they're important. You want to meet their standards? Come on. That would
I,
have been awesome.
I was waiting for someone maybe to put the first order in there or something, but they don't believe in free trade.
No, we have
They
to. Getting vibranium out of that country is next to impossible.
Yeah.
They watch every ounce.
Yeah, every ounce.
It has to be accounted for.
Yeah,
Things have to, things have to be accounted for.
and we try to, we sent an envoy over there to try to figure out if they were building weapons of mass destruction, and
We keep sending ambassadors. We don't know where they go.
yeah,
We just never see them again.
yeah,
They keep asking for their budgets to be increased, though.
yeah,
Something about my ties. We figure it's just a character over there.
Professor Trike says, "Good morning, guys. Good morning, Trike.
Morning,
How are you?"
Trico. Well, thanks for coming on.
Um, oh man, we have
We are back to four again, so hopefully it was somebody that disconnected from one computer and reconnected to another computer.
so Randy,
Yes,
news came to me yesterday.
important news.
Important news. Huh, I'm a somewhat fan of Fight Club, the movie.
Would you? Oh, geez. Would you consider that breaking news?
I don't know if it's breaking. It might break your heart.
Something will break.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
And
talking about the all female version of Fight Club they're
yep,
doing.
they're rebooting it for all females.
Sorry, I spoiled your ramp up.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. They're rebooting it for all females. Now, I've got no problem with that. Uh, my issue is when they reboot movies. Like sometimes the reboot is unnecessary.
Hmm.
Sometimes it should be a follow up rather than a reboot. I mean,
Sequel.
yeah, a sequel, or they could be, they could call it, you know, um, a Fight Club, you know, bitch slap or something like that. They could, it could be a sequel. Why try to reboot the first one as if the first one never happened? I don't understand that.
Well,
But
they're
that problem,
welcome to try whatever they want. The problem is that some films don't need to be remade.
hmm
You just need to leave them be, move on to something original. But as has been starting to get really pointed out, is progressive SJW-ness or whatever you want to call it can't make original material and have it sell. They have to go out and take an old vehicle and progressive liberalize it or whatever they have to do. I'm not a conservative by any or a hardcore conservative, I should say, by any stretch, but I can see it happening every time they, like Ghostbusters 2016, they try to bring something in, they just it ends up flopping. So, and they're welcome to keep trying. You can bet, and Hollywood's really good at bashing their head against a wall until they go, oh, I guess we're not making enough money. Maybe we should stop doing that.
that's why I want to take
Whatever.
time to. I want to take
All
time
I,
to announce my new project.
all I know is Fight Club is a beautiful piece of cinema. It's very unique. It's got, if you've never seen it before, it's a lot more than what it appears on the surface and has a very deep, important message. I think it was incredibly well done. It doesn't need to be redone.
Well, I mean, a couple movies have been redone. I mean, they redid a classic. They redid Casablanca. They just called it Barbed Wire. Um,
If that's the case, I can't say I've ever seen Barbed Wire.
yeah, you never seen Barbed Wire?
No,
About Pamela Anderson?
no.
No? Oh man, I got to give you the DVD.
She's just it's yeah. I would enjoy seeing it,
Yeah.
especially if you're saying it's a rip on Casablanca.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That would almost make the movie meaningful.
It's a
And again,
total.
Casablanca's the kind of movie they try to remake it, every
Mhm.
once in a while, or even refilm it using different actors. That's perfect timing, perfect script, perfect cast, perfect
Mhm.
everything, all the way across the board. It's not going to get any better. They'll never. It'll always be secondary.
Which brings me to a question that I had last week that I didn't get a chance to ask. But I know a couple of indie comics, and I'm okay with that, with this
You're okay
But
knowing a couple of indie
because
comics?
this is a couple. But I'm okay with this practice. But I think there's a point where it gets a little too much. How, Randy, you do issue one of a book,
Hmm.
and you decide, okay, here's issue one, and you take it to your local con, or you start, you start at home,
Hmm.
and you're showing your book off. People are buying it, and then you're like, oh man, I really wish that I could add a page of a fight, another a better ending to this fight, or a
Hmm.
page more, another page of dialogue.
Sure.
And yeah, you sit at home and you do this page and you kick this page out, and you say, I want to add this, I want to add this to the next printing of my book.
Hmm.
Is that ethical? Is that okay to do?
Oh yeah, I think. Well, we're in a more modern times. Years after Lucas is gone and cut and recut and re-recut the first, three Star Wars over and
Hmm.
over again and added new effects. And they're an artist is allowed to do whatever they want with their work. Now, whether or not they can sell it,
Hmm.
that's a whole nother story. Because
Do
how
you
many pages do you have to add into your book? How many new original pages before your customer just goes, you know, or goes, I already got this book. You added a page. Oh, that's nice.
yeah?
Keep it. It's all a money thing.
Do you feel that that's because I know some I've seen artists do that, go back and add a page, which
I've
is
done it. I've done it.
mhm,
I had a War of the Worlds book, Memphis Front #1. Never did do the whole story on
mhm,
Memphis Front, but it was a War of the Worlds. It was actually a prequel to the Caliber
mhm,
War of the Worlds story that takes place in Memphis. I kicked the first issue out. The cover was stiff, the logo was bad, and I had blown my diamond solicitation fulfillment on the PO on that. So I still wanted to do the story. So I made a second run at it and offered a special edition of #1, where I added like 3 or 4 more pages to it to explain and get things rolling a lot hotter.
mhm,
And I changed the logo on it to make it more appealing.
mhm.
And I think we sold pretty good on that book. Probably not though. I think I think I still have some sitting back here. But
Do you think that
we
because
did that in
I've
a
seen
#2 out of 5, and that's as far as you know the run went.
I've seen the flip side of that being somebody takes a book and they reboot it. And I've seen that because we were talking about reboots. I've seen
Hmm.
people take their comic issue one, and I'll walk past their table and I'll see a new issue one with a new cover. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, this is your, but did you do a variant cover? Oh no, I rebooted the book. Oh, okay. And you pick it up and you're like, hey, I want to support you. Here's another five. Let me go. I'll check out this new version.
Hmm.
And I know I've seen that happen to one book in particular 4 times.
I know it's happened a number. Yeah, yeah. I'm aware of the book that you're talking about. I've never read it,
Yeah.
but yeah, you do that. You take your chances because you've already built an audience, or hopefully you've built an audience with the first run. You
Mm,
might as well just continue on. And if there's other things that you need to change about the character, especially if it's a brand that you're trying to get across, just retrofit it in the next issue.
yeah. I mean, you could just in that time that you've printed four new number ones, you could have
Gotten all the way to #4 and had
yeah,
enough to do a graphic novel collection of it. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
It's just
That's a
you got to do what you got to do, and a lot of people too, especially in the independent market, don't get out of the gate because they're constantly sitting there reworking, rewriting, reworking, rewriting, or taking the script to somebody and having to make changes, or they're not happy with what they're doing. The one thing about Marvel and DC and their productivity is that they're on a deadline. They have to
yeah,
hit. They have to hit. Everything has to be done, whether it looks good, not look good, whether that cog has performed the inks, or they have to pass it to a secondary cog in order to do the inks, or whatever. The trains have to run on time because that's how they used to constantly make their money.
mm,
Now they don't care so much about the money, but they're still out there trying to make schedules. And the old days, you had to have a book to a printer at a specific time if you scheduled a slot,
yeah,
because if you missed it, you paid a heavy fine because you inconvenienced the printer.
yeah. And I understand at that point when you used to have to kind of reserve your printer. I understand that the printer ran without you.
Oh yeah.
So you lost your slot and everything.
Or if they didn't run with you, they charged you really hard. And I mean extremely hard. There's a great story out there about the fact that Avengers would have never existed if they didn't absolutely have to hit a printing deadline.
Mm.
Because they were going to put Daredevil 1 to press, and Bill Everett didn't have the book done on time. And so they decided that they had to do something, and Kirby said, well, let's throw our bigger sellers together, and we'll make up a story, and we'll just call it, I don't know, the Avengers, I guess, and we'll get it to the printer. And Kirby threw Avengers 1 together in a period, I think, of a week or 2 weeks, and it was done, and they hit their printing deadline, and Marvel had a new book.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Um, got a message from INDIEVOLT Radio last week. We were off Tuesday when we were off the air. And it's let me see here 1 second. I will bring it up. It's actually I can't bring it up, but it's from Gerald. And Gerald says that he feels, and it kind of speaks to what you just said, Randy. He feels that print on demand has killed the industry. Or it's killing the industry. He doesn't like print on demand. Um, Randy, I have a question for you.
mhm.
You started doing comics way before print on demand was a
Yeah,
thing.
oh yeah.
And at that point, explain that to us. You had to like get like 1,000 books, 2,000 books, 3,000, I guess, in some cases.
Yeah, 3000 was the good break. When I was doing Arrow for the third time, Arrow 3.0, 3000 was where we had a decent uh, price break
Hmm.
for our per unit cost. And with that, with the 3000 that we ordered, we really only had to move 800 in order to break even.
Hmm.
And when we started getting orders back from Diamond for 500 and 600, and we were going to take a really hard hit loss, then it just became we were just unable to go to press on these books. But there were, and if we were to go to press at 2,000, which was possible, the per unit cost jumped up so much that we would almost have to raise the cover price in order to make anything close to profit
Right.
on it. So we always aimed for three and hoped that we'd make our profit off of the shows.
I wonder if like because now we don't have to do that. I wonder if we still did that. If we still had to go put down 3 grand, or not 3 grand, but 3,000 books
Hmm.
and pay for that because there was a you had to put the money down and you had to wait a number of weeks too. I recall
The average turnaround time was 2 weeks.
two
Sometimes it
weeks.
took three. Yeah, sometimes it took four. But usually the printer that I ran with was really good at turning things around in 2 weeks.
I wonder if we still did that. Would we see a lot better quality because, or at least people who are a little bit more interested in
You'd see a lot fewer independent books out on the market. You'd see a
mm,
lot fewer graphic novels. You wouldn't have the flood of graphic novels that you see now
mhm.
if they had to order a certain base amount.
And I don't think that I got to disagree with Gerald in that I don't think that it's killing the industry. In fact, I've read some really good books that have been made from print on. I think print on demand has opened the industry up a bit to allow people those voices that couldn't be heard before because of financial. I can't afford to put $2,000 on you know amount 3,000 books.
Hmm.
So you can have that one guy who just goes out and he
And it's
throws.
opened up publishing in general because a lot of the
Yeah.
prose writers, a lot of the independent prose guys wouldn't be around. If they had to order their own stuff, they'd have to convince a literary agent to pick them up,
Hmm.
and for them to go out and get a contract in order to remotely be seen. But
Yeah.
I don't think any of the technology out there is ever really going to kill the market. I think comics have proven to be resilient over the years, with a wonderful tendency of advancing as far as the art form goes on the backs of the previous person's problem.
Hmm.
The way I usually refer to it as a gigantic chain, that every link comes in when the other link closes. It's like the one door opens or one door closes, another door opens. It's like
Right.
that. When a person gets screwed in the industry, and believe me, there's been a lot of screws in the industry, the next person comes up, or that person comes up and goes, well, I can just do this, and they run out and they do that, and boom, all of a sudden there's another link in that chain. I
Hmm.
think in comics is an incredibly large and incredibly linked chain that is the history on it is very fascinating if you go back and look at it.
Yeah.
Because literally, if Superman hadn't been, it literally goes back to the fact that if Superman, Siegel, and Schuster hadn't been screwed, you really wouldn't see comics today. If Stanley had not done this and this and this wouldn't have happened. If EC Comics had never existed, this and this wouldn't have happened, and that wouldn't have happened. And it's like one great big line of dominoes. If that one hadn't fallen, the other two wouldn't have fallen, the other three wouldn't have fallen, the other four wouldn't have fallen. It all ties right back to um, to the corporate comics and the way that they've always looked down their nose at funny books.
I I think that when we take into account how these indie books have come out recently, there are a few that are just money grabs. I get it. There are a few people, somebody.
You're always gonna have asses out there
Yeah.
that want to make money. Back during there was a big black and white boom back in the 80s. Boom. Just all of a sudden, and you had people in the industry pissed because there were guys out there like Eastman and Laird who were suddenly making money, and they're like going, "They're making more money than I am. Black and white comics aren't real comics. They're not professionals. They're not working for a big corporation. They're not being, well mushroomed or well oiled like a cog in a machine. These guys are doing their own stuff. They're not. That's not real comics." But if it wasn't for that black and white boom, there really wouldn't have been much for the direct distributors to sell because Marvel and DC did not want comic shops to start with. They were too busy trying to sell in drugstores.
Right.
That's what they want. That was the line of distribution that actually very few organized people would control, and that was the hole that they wanted to be in. And when the direct market did open up, it took DC kind of dipped their toe in and started doing stuff. Marvel started out with 3 titles that were absolute crap. I mean, and granted, art's subjective, so my idea of Kazar might not be your idea of Kazar, or my idea of crappily done stepped on Moon Knight might be the best book that you've ever read in your life. But the first books that came out of Marvel to the direct market were literally jokes. But they were Marvel was sending stuff directly to the direct market. This is awesome. You have to buy them all in order to encourage Marvel to send more stuff. So
Hmm.
that's and that's literally that's how the direct market started. And who knew that Marvel and DC would end up being the major crutch of the retailers that you know and eventually Diamond's hold on the direct market
Hmm.
that would keep it stagnant for the next 30 years from the 80s to now, literally.
Yeah, I think that
It's a
let's see.
long story. It's really well worth documenting. There hasn't been enough. You'll see some books on comic history, but you won't see a lot of books on the direct market. And you really need to. That really needs to come out. People need to see, exactly how that happened
Mm,
and how that's been so abused over the years.
yeah. Ready? We're gonna take the. Let me see. I'm gonna pull this up here.
All right.
Because I was asked. I said we don't. I was told, and I think we do. So,
Have you sent the question that's supposed to trigger me yet?
oh, that was it. Was the Fight Club
Female
question? Yeah.
female Fight
Yeah.
Club. Oh,
Yeah.
that's nothing. That's nothing new. Look at Charlie's Angels. Look at Ghostbusters. Look at Terminator.
So
Hey, Anthony's book, awesome.
yeah. So we're keeping. We've been keeping track of this book. Anthony's God's Handbook. It's currently at $11,205.
Yeah,
So it's still growing. He's currently funding In Demand on Indiegogo
it's
right
in
now.
demand, but he passed his goal. That book's coming out. I can't wait to see it. I hope it
Yeah,
does
yeah.
really good.
Um, it is. Yeah, because I think you have 47 claims of the Storytime version and 25 of the signature series. I forget which one I got. I think I got the signature series. I'm pretty sure I did. But yeah, and if you look, I don't know if anybody's done this. Because we never really talk much about our. I'll bring it up here. Hopefully, my computer's been.
Are we live all over? We're on
y-
Twitch. We're on
Yep, yep,
IndieVolt.
yep.
Okay.
We are live all over. So if you can't if you can't see it on Indie Vote Radios, because obviously you listen on the radio, but we just brought up God's Hand on Indiegogo, so you can go over and check that campaign out. If you haven't got one of those books yet, you should definitely do that. But I'm gonna bring up indievolt.com here on the screen,
Okay.
and which is our main website. Uh, yeah, there we go. And
It's the Toidles. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we had a turtle article up there, but you can see to the left hand side is God's Hand. I don't know if people know that, but they can actually buy ad space. They can actually buy our background. That's right, we sold out. They can buy our background on indievolt.com.
Cool.
Oh, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm still here.
everything got real quiet for a second.
Oh, I think my dehumidifier cut out.
Okay, yeah. So
Okay.
you can buy. Hey, Sim, how's it going?
Maybe I should freeze every once in a while just to make you think it's my equipment for once. So,
But yeah,
hey,
you can buy
Sim.
that. You can buy
Hope
that
you're doing all right.
background for a couple months. Actually, both sides.
Mhm.
He only needed the one side. So,
So you're shamelessly huckstering? Is that what you're?
oh,
Is that what you're doing?
shamelessly. Yeah, actually, no, there's not even shame about it. That's how bad I am. Um, but yeah, we get a lot of views on the site, so I think that it having that back there might give him some. Maybe it'll give him some attention.
To
Maybe it'll give him some.
inquire for advertising rates, please get a hold of Mr. Varian.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You can actually mail IndieVolt live at IndieVolt and or hey you guys at indievolt.com. Hey, letter you guys at indievolt.com, and we can hook you up with that. Um, but and it, well, you can run it for however long you want. Obviously, there's a monetary uh
Compensation.
yeah compensation, and
Bribes are
depend.
always welcome,
That's right. Right. So yeah
especially since we're not monetized.
yeah. Simon's running the
I can't even play music. Anyway,
he's this man is working on lots of books. I think right now that I got him up to like four.
who?
Simon.
Simon? Yeah.
Yeah,
He's busy.
he's busy. He's always drawing, and that's someone else too that I believe switches his art style
Hmm.
depending on the project. The
Yeah.
project, because you could tell it's him, but I feel like there are times where he goes, to another level of his artwork. Hey,
Good.
Chris
Good
Evans.
Lord, Chris Evans.
Yeah. Hello, Chris.
How you
How's it
doing,
going?
Chris?
Go back to the MCU. Come back. We need you. No, we,
He's
we,
not.
we,
He's not. He's not. Anyway,
we can't lose both RDJ and Chris Evans.
it's already happened.
Yeah.
I just sat and watched Far From Home Tuesday, so
How'd you feel about that?
it was all right. It was good.
Yeah.
I had to keep reminding myself, oh yeah, this takes place after Endgame. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mysterio was done incredibly well.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable.
What do you think of the twist ending?
Which one?
Well, the J. Jonah Jameson.
So that was fine. Let's see what they do.
Yeah. If they would have pulled out of the MCU at that point, that would have been really, really sucky.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Let's hope John has enough time. John Favreau has enough time to be in future Spider-Man films because I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
What just happened?
um
Now, the thing that I never caught
mhm,
that I never caught in the media when I was watching that film.
mhm.
Did you see it? Have you seen
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. When they're fighting in the London Museum,
Hmm.
there's a suit of Black Knight armor in the background, and I
Ah,
thought that was so freaking awesome. And it's modern Black Knight. I'm looking there as a silhouette in a glass case. I went, that's Black Knight. That is awesome because I know he's coming up in Eternals. That's going to be
yeah.
cool. It's like that. That was a really nice touch on their part
Yeah.
because they knew that they were going to introduce him eventually. It was just, you know, kind of
Yeah.
cool to see. Oh, we're in London. Well, we're going to smash through a museum, and
Mhm.
there's going to be at least in silhouette a Black Knight, modern Black Knight armor in the background.
Hmm.
It's
Um,
cool.
and I'm glad we mentioned movies because from Indie Vote Radio, and this writer is Dmitry. He's actually from Russia, so I say it with the accent.
Cool. Love
Dmitry.
that.
Dmitry
Thanks for
says,
listening.
"Yeah, how come he wants to know how come there isn't anyone buying up indie comics movies rights?
Well, a lot of it's visibility because the indie books, a lot of them are regional and are stuck by the latest convention. The crowdfunding thing you have to keep in mind. Internet and the crowdfunding aspect of comics is really kind of new. It's just starting to go out there, and everybody's starting to pay attention to it because there's been money attached. I mean, hardcore money attached to it,
Hmm.
so that more people are recognizing stuff. There's more recognizable brands in the crowdfunding independent market that are actually getting out there. But as far as indie books themselves, they really have to be super popular in order to attract Hollywood's attention.
Hmm.
And Hollywood right now have their blinders on, especially when it comes to the IPs. There are certain companies that they look at, but not everybody, especially the little guys, the little guys.
Right.
I mean, you might get a Hollywood producer going as far down as Dark Horse or Valiant or maybe even as low as Boom in order to find an IP property, Image. That's why you see a lot of these Image books that have sprung up, that people will pay attention to that Image as a company and will look at that property for potential exploitation. But as far as producers actually getting out there and traveling the country to the different bigger conventions and hitting the artist alley, very rarely does that happen. I think Wizard has a deal with Sony
Yeah, they
for
do.
them to do that. But when has there ever been an announcement from Sony that they've picked up an independent property?
Yeah.
And a lot of that also settles back to experience and quality level as well, because a lot of these guys might pick up a book and go, "Oh, this is kind of, you know,
Mm.
dorky, or this didn't quite work out, or this is a derivative of this." The original stuff is going to float to the top. The original stuff is eventually going to get noticed. It's just a matter of getting out there, staying out there until that happens.
Trek says, when Randy said "Far From Home," I thought of the '80s movie with the lost dogs and cats. And
The,
Chris
the
says,
witch, the witch movie.
I thought the same thing. There's a movie back in the '80s called "Far From Home."
Oh, well, I should have said Spider-Man Far From,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah,
It was
yeah,
Spider-Man Far From Home, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You just said "Far From Home" though, so
Oh, well.
yeah.
Sorry.
I think the next movie is gonna be called "Sweet Home, Sweet Home."
Is that? I doubt it.
Yeah, no, Home Sweet Home.
Probably be homesick or something like that. It'll have home in the title.
Yeah.
Or home is screwed. Screwed at home. Who knows?
um,
So,
what the homeboy?
Hail Brother Simon.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that indie books aren't picked up because I mean, gosh, we have so many people that want to. Uh, they have people that put those books out, and the creators behind them can't get along. I see the trend. I don't know if I
Well,
like.
that's a good possibility too, but that's pretty rare because you start throwing around thousands of dollars, suddenly people can get them wrong along at least for a little while. You
We got to
start
get
throwing
a.
hundreds of thousands of dollars around, and then you'll start having some infighting going on.
I got to get. We got to get Simon back in. But I tried to talk him to come in the chat today, but he says yeah, he's got to leave for some stuff, so he can't
Mm.
really
Simon?
stay around. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah, we need to have him back on the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with Antonio, but Antonio's probably good for Tuesday nights. So he's been busy working on his book.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's a busy man. But that's what you want to see
Just
when.
talked to him for a little while yesterday. I didn't tell you that.
Yeah, when somebody's
Texted
funding,
back and forth. Yeah.
when their book is spent, they want to put that head down and start drawing.
Oh, you got to,
Yeah,
especially if it's not complete.
yeah.
That's why I want to get mine done before I start pushing it. So
Um, I wonder if that's probably why I don't finish my book because I'm always looking around. Oh, wait a minute, I was gonna do that,
oh,
but that,
Josh Lyman says you're thinking of Homeward Bound.
is
That
that
was
what it's
probably
called?
another movie. There's been a lot of dog and cat movies, Far From Home type
It was,
stuff. Incredible Journey comes to mind. That's the big one that I remember.
there's a lot of them. There's a uh, was it um Milo and not Milo?
Yeah,
Is it? Yeah,
Milo and something.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
I remember watching that and the dog's trying to get home.
So there's been a lot of them. So
I got a chance to at Great Lakes Comic Con when I was hanging out with you,
Mm-hmm.
and Carol Spivey, the Big Bird, was there, and I got a chance to talk to him for a little while, and I
Mm-hmm.
told him that I cried during Big Bird Goes Home
Yeah.
because Big Bird got lost and you couldn't find he couldn't find, and he actually turned colors. He turned from yellow to blue, and I was a kid. I must have been about 4 or 5, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember crying. My mother trying to uh trying to stop me from crying, and don't cry, he'll get home. And she said because I started crying, a chorus of other children started to cry in the
Mm-hmm.
theater. So I started this whole, I was patient zero for crying for Big Bird. I was a big sap though. I
Yeah.
cried during, my aunt tells a story that after Transformers the movie, my parents took me to see it, and she said I came home and I'm holding my little Optimus Prime figure in my hand when she opens the door, and I look up at her, and I just burst into tears by holding Prime. He's dead, Auntie. and and yeah, I was very upset as a kid. I was my mother and father were upset too because they were like, you know, he said I just sat there all day, my head down because
What
Optimus Prime was dead.
What's wrong with Varian? Oh, he's crying over his toy robot. Might make me cry too.
Yeah, he's crying over his toy robot. He's dead. They wiped away the whole
Did he
toy collection.
did he always talk to it? What's up? Were they close?
there's a there's an interesting documentary about Transformers on YouTube. I just watched, and I didn't notice it before until recently, but they were talking about the character of Michaela Baines or Barnes that was played by Megan Fox versus the character that what was it Huntington Wheatley, the girl in the third one with Shia LaBeouf played. And she's like, they fired Megan Fox off that picture like right before it went to right before camera started rolling.
Oh yeah.
So there was a sense that a lot. Well, there's a lot of that movie. A lot of those character arcs
Mm-hmm.
are for the character that Megan Fox played, not for this new character. So
Happens
yeah,
all the time.
yeah,
Somebody gets a big head and asks for another zero, or somebody doesn't like somebody, or
yeah.
whatever.
She called Michael Bay the leader of the N words, the other N words, a 4 letter N word that we can't say.
The NA word.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. She called him the leader of them. You know who he is,
Mm-hmm.
the one with the funny mustache.
Yeah.
And we say their names, we get demonetized. So and if you don't get pulled,
We get that. All we need is another strike on our channel,
yeah, that's all we need. So,
especially after the first.
yeah.
Anyway, they're going to go through and get rid of the ones that aren't making money anyway.
Lola says good morning. Good morning, Lola.
Threaten to at least. Morning, Lola.
And I think that for me, uh, when it comes, I've seen this with indie comics. I know some people here in the chat might not agree. However, Randy, if you go to because we've had this conversation in some of the chat rooms, they don't make those anymore. Some of the Facebook groups that I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
where people will get mad and they'll say, "Hey, I'm looking for an artist to design these characters I have.
Mm-hmm.
I have bio sheets. I've written things for the characters. I've got some model sheets you can look at. Like I want this character to look like John Travolta with a scar on his face, and he always wears suits. And I need some artists to design this for me. And the artist will get that. And I've seen some artists say, "Well, I'll do this job for you, and I'll design these characters at $150 per character. However, I'm going to need co creator credit on these characters." I've seen that happen in some of those forums. I've seen people get mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people agree to it, and I've seen people get mad about it on both sides. Whether it be someone who's like, "Oh, I created this character, screw you."
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Oh, well, I'll tell you what happened Tuesday, Rob. We got a question. Rob says he wants us. So what happened Tuesday? We got a question for you. You weren't here to answer. Do you remember that, Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There was a question for you here to answer, but real quick before we jump into that with Rob, Randy, what was your what's your reaction to that? Does a should an artist get uh co-creator credit for a book?
I think it all depends upon the property and the agreement between the two people. So should they get co-creator credit? I don't know. If you were to ask me to come in with you on a property and I decided to do that, and I if I had any input that I thought was personal enough, I'd want a co-creator credit.
Hmm.
But then again, I've done commercial and graphic work where I've created characters for companies that I knew I wasn't gonna get any type of listing as a creator or co-creator or any royalty money or nothing from it. I
Yeah,
just make
you
them
knew from the
pay.
start you weren't
So,
getting it. Yeah,
huh?
you
Yeah, I
you
knew
knew
from
from
the
the start.
start that
Yeah.
I wasn't getting it. That's the kind of thing that you want to settle with your team as early on as possible, especially if you see these characters out in your head. I've had a lot of people do characters for me where I've done designs, but most of the time, if I can't achieve a realistic enough style or depending upon the property, I'll do a rough sketch of what the character looks like anyway before I send it to the artist
I
to
seen
create it.
I know
So
of I know of
and
an indie property
and feel
where
that I'm a full creator on that. I don't give them any type of creation credit or you know.
I know of an indie property where everybody who works on the book gets added as a co-creator, and right now it's up to seven.
Yeah.
And,
Well, they're going to have a problem if something happens with that property, aren't they?
yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. It's
Yeah.
gonna be it,
There always needs to be somebody riding, or driving the stagecoach. You know, somebody riding and somebody pulling.
I just I
That's the way
get
it
it why
works.
you would do it. I totally get why you do it. Like you, because
Yeah.
it might even be what sweetens the pot for
Yeah.
somebody. Like, okay, well, I'll take the lower I'll take the lower end of what you're gonna pay as long as you give me a creator credit. Because maybe if this does become a big property, maybe then I can cash in then
Yeah.
as a co-creator. So I get why people would do that, but I just don't know if it's smart business in the long run.
I know.
However,
It all depends upon the situation. Every book that requires more than one person is a business, almost like a business marriage,
mhm.
where you're going to have to get along, figure out how to get along, or you're done. You know.
Creator of The Walking Dead, can't Kirkman, yeah, thank you.
Hmm.
Kirkman, he added his artist
And
to
you
his
see the problems he ran into.
yeah. Um
You know, and nobody. He eventually had to iron that out in court,
Rob,
or out of court. But he eventually ironed that out with a little money.
Rob, the question that was sent in for you, which we pretty much consider is a troll question, but the question that we were sent in for you was last week, Tuesday, was from Z McLeod, and Z McLeod, which is why I better both
Tell
the
Rob the indie devil I got a fetish. Oh no. Let's not pull that up again.
he's
Not
got a
no
fetish
no
comic
no
coming out
no.
too, and he wants to apply his juice to the ink.
TV 14
It's up there,
TV
yeah.
14 TV 14. Let's activate the woe. Too early
um,
in the morning and people still haven't finished their coffee yet. Come on. Be like, wrong kind of creamer.
Rob, this is all your fault.
Oh,
This is
no,
all
it's
your
your
fault,
fault.
Rob.
You're the one that pulled that question back
If anyone has any complaints, please refer them to the End of the Devil Rob
Please,
Anderson
mark
Rob.
this episode of Breakfast Buzz for adults only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Um,
that's got to be a troll question.
he wrote that in on Tuesday, and we read it on there, and we all basically gagged at that moment too. But um, yeah, I mean, you put your blood, sweat, and tears in comics, and apparently something else now. Um, no,
No,
no.
no printer's going to do that. That's what I kept saying. Nobody even wants to go there.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not
Well,
a fetish comic.
I'm sure some people do, but you know,
That's not a fetish comic.
so
That's a gross comic. That's a However, like everyone says before, and everyone said in the chat that Kiss did put their blood in the printer, but that was a gimmick, and that was our Kiss. I mean, who's going to really tell them no, right?
And that was a long time ago.
Look who's come to visit. Everyone
Hey,
says,
Rob.
and everyone
Hey,
says,
what's going on, guys? Hold on, let me
Kiss
get
did
rid of
put
the
their
other.
Got a
blood,
little echo working. Hey.
Can you give me
and that
one
was our
second?
Kiss. I mean, who's going to really tell them no? Right? I muted him for a second. Wait, gets that. Look who's come to visit. Let's see here. Yeah, Rob's getting his computer all together. Is that a microphone above him or a mirror? I can't tell.
Looks like a microphone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a mic stand. It's
Yeah,
a snake. It's a snake.
Yeah.
It's when the cameras don't work and I have to go live because something's wrong. I put my iPhone on there and just show the screen. It's cool.
Very smart, very smart. I should put one of those up here somewhere. I got monitors surrounding me now. Just know all my tablet holders and phone holders are on my art desk.
It's because you want to feel like Ozymandias. That's all.
Yeah, so has a bunch of monitors around me.
Bank of monitors.
So you got an interesting group that follows you, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
So
you know, we were wondering if that wasn't a troll question. Too,
Yeah.
Because it's whoever. Anyway, we've never heard from that person before.
Yeah,
That we
they-
know of. That we know of.
Z McLeod wants to know if he can, if you'd like, you're gonna cover his comic. How do you cover that comic? I mean,
You don't. Like I said, there's no publisher out there that will allow that to happen.
you ship it in a
just
plastic
because of-
baggie.
We're in different times than when that Kiss book was done.
What was that? Lois has handled it with gloves. Yeah.
We're in
Well, you'll
much,
be
much
arrested for
different.
that. That's,
Can you get arrested for that?
yes, because that's you're distributing human biocontaminant without.
Yes.
Hey, Ren, how's it going?
Hey, Ren.
So if you want to do that and be arrested, please let's take them off the board.
Times have changed since the 80s.
Yeah, they can go to prison and share all their juice that they want.
Yeah.
So I know that you started something, and I want to talk about that too on the air. You have started the awards.
I have.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I got some of the smartest people I know. Randy's one of them, and I've been asking him his opinions.
Thanks for
I've
that.
gotten you to be a judge, so I know when we're doing judging, I have some smart people in place.
Mhm.
And it's all about bringing together the indie community. We've never had a real award show.
No.
And me and Randy have talked about this, and I think me and you have talked about this. It's like only groups give award to their group, and that's
Mhm.
not fair. And that's never been fair. There's never been an Indie Awards that actually went out of its way to look for everybody and to give everyone something to actually be proud of. So that's what this is. This is open to everyone. It's got 50 judges. In the end of the day, because a lot of people will be like, well, I don't understand. What will I get? You'll be able to say that I was judged by 50 people, because that's really what it is. You'll never know who judged you. So 50 different indie creators. We got a couple cosplayers. We have an autistic cosplayer. We have on-air talent, and we have reviewers all doing this. So that's all going to be, in the end of the day, something you get to say. Plus, there'll be a ribbon that we're finishing up now that'll be able to be put on someone's book or to put on their website, and this will be something that hopefully becomes very prestigious and becomes something. And it's something I want to go beyond what I do. I don't want Indie Advocates to be the only one presenting it. I'd love to see that in 2020, when we're doing this, iNDIEVOLT's one of the people helping doing this.
Mhm.
And some other sites are doing it. And soon it becomes about everyone doing it.
Yep.
And it catches fire. And I can tell everyone, like anything in indie, it starts out small and you don't got a budget.
Yeah.
And it's just indie. But we're also doing a Hall of Fame. We just announced that Buddy Scalera will be our first inductee. For those who don't go to New York Comic Con, he is the one who puts on Creator Connections. But anyone here who reads Wizard has read his words. He used to work in Wizard.
Okay.
So he has inspired many creators, thousands of creators. And without him, there wouldn't be an IndieAdvocates.com. Without him, I don't know where I'd be creatively. He helped me to even at a point, and I said this in a video, there was a point after back surgery, I was in a wheelchair at New York Comic Con. The doctors wouldn't let me go unless I promised to be in a wheelchair. And he was the only person who never looked down at me. And I know physically he looked down at me. But everyone else who looked at me that year didn't remember me the next year. Buddy remembered who I was. talked to me about my comics, said that it was great that I looked so much better. He was happy to see me walking around, even at that point with a cane, and he remembered me, and that
Mhm.
meant a lot. And
Yeah.
that's the type of people. Between him and Victor Dandridge and Dirk Manning, I wouldn't have made it past that very dark period of my life
You
with
yeah.
their support and their pushing me to keep going, even when everything was so horrible and so painful.
You know, with you in the wheelchair, I remember seeing a picture of that, and you don't even look like yourself.
Hmm.
Like you look like I don't want to I'm not trying to be offensive here, but you look like at that point you're probably broken, like at your lowest state, and the life was going out your eyes. But I'm glad to see you're up and you're walking around.
Mhm.
In fact, happened. I remember one time we did a show with you. We had you come in for a while, and you were at the gym.
Yeah.
And so he was at the gym. So he's much more active than I am. Um, he's this man is working his butt off. I don't understand though why like there hasn't been an award show. Why do you think there hasn't
I,
been an indie award show?
again, I think that's because the indies have been so scattered
Yep.
and they're almost regional.
It's
So
like
it's always
wrestling.
go ahead.
It's like wrestling back in the day, Randy.
Yeah.
Of the territories.
Yep.
Hmm. And
Um,
the territories give each other awards.
yeah, yeah.
They don't reach outside their bubble, because why would they do that? They want to give the award to their friend. I don't want to give it to my friend.
Yeah.
There are people I've picked who I want to appreciate and acknowledge, but that will be a different award. That'll be the Advocator Award. It won't have anything to do with the Indie Advocate or the Independent Creator Awards.
Mhm.
That is something completely different. I just happen to tack on something because I want to acknowledge some people who I think are great, but that's also what the Hall of Fame is. And the Hall of Fame is a funny thing. And I talked to Randy about this a little bit. There are people who have one title, one book, that think they deserve it to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, you made a book and that's it. Like, I mean, does anyone understand what a Hall of Fame is? Like,
Yeah.
the hardness, the struggle you're gonna have to go through, especially an indie Hall of Fame. You're gonna have to lose an arm almost to be in an indie Hall of Fame. Anyone can make a book now, but we're talking about this, and I've said it, and other people have said it. I think Randy deserves to be in it for all he knows, all the struggles he's been through. And the first thing Randy said is, "I don't want to be in it. I think there are people who deserve it more," and that makes me believe he belongs in it even more.
There's a heck of a lot more people out there that have done a lot more than I have.
Yeah.
That have really struck out and made comics more independent. The more history that you know, and that's really what we should do with the Hall of Fame, is to show here's a group of people that we know have made a difference, that they've gone out there and they've changed indie comics, made indie comics um, uh, with their work and their sweat for the better, and have really expanded this market out.
Which is why I'm
And
calling
there are a lot of people out there like that.
Which is why I'm calling for the inclusion of Eric Larson. I think that he should be included in the.
He might be a possibility down the road.
Yeah,
But there's
down the
so
road.
many other people in history, like Buddy is a grand example of that. I consider Will Eisner needs to be up for this award.
Yeah, and we're reaching out actually
without
to
a-
the state.
Yeah,
for permission.
without a doubt. And there's so many other people out there. Right at the start, the one name I was talking to Rob about was Bud Plant, and people goes, Bud Plant, the distributor? What the heck? Bud Plant, when he first started, he was printing some stuff that was very hardcore indie comics back when, and he was distributing stuff that he was printing. And that got a very small amount of reach, but really hardcore reach up along that West Coast.
Chris Evans says I vote for Simon. I think
everybody's going to have their favorites. So that's a big thing with these awards. We don't want them to be a popularity contest. We want them to be a quality contest.
Now I know that
a quality award, not even a contest, an award.
Some of
quality.
You could self-nominate, correct?
Yes, and a lot of the categories you have to self-nominate because you have to give up the PDF. The judges have to judge you via actual work. Right. So you have to be willing to give up PDF. And I already had someone who's like, well, I'm afraid that my PDF will get circulated. I'm like, don't join them. If you're not willing to be seen and be judged, this is not popularity. Like Randy said, this is quality. Yeah. And to me, that makes me feel more like they're less afraid of the book being circulated and more afraid of people looking at it.
Well, plus they have to know that it goes to other creators who don't want to have their stuff pirated either.
Hmm.
They don't want it to get out there. It's for their eyes only, and that's the way it is.
You know what?
You know,
I
I wouldn't be against doing physical copies. It's just that it takes so much longer to send them through the mail.
Yeah.
yeah. I remember back in my 20s, a buddy of mine, he got really, he's really addicted to torrents. He loved downloading everything from the internet, and he downloaded the entire Superman like portfolio, like everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Yeah, man, check this out." And he brought them to me on disc, and I remember reading some of them, and you know, uh, it was accurate. And the guy who was doing the upload would upload it every week, would update it every week with new issues. And I started downloading them because okay, well, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I can get these books for free. And the second, and both he and I were looking to get into comic books, and the second that I put in my first, not even second, but that I realized this is what I wanted to do, I stopped downloading them because I just felt like if I'm gonna make comics, why am I downloading someone else's? You know, who they didn't intend for it to be downloaded. There were people putting their books out on torrent purposely,
Yeah,
um, just so they could,
so they wanted to be seen.
yeah, they
Yeah.
wanted to be seen. So there are people who don't, and I respect that, and so I stopped downloading, and I'm able to sleep a little bit easier at night now because I'm not, but people do send books to IndieVolt. It's in PDFs for review,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. That's fine. We read those, and then I delete them after we get them.
Yeah.
I did a couple of screenshots of some panels so we could put it in the review, but we don't keep anything on. And I've gotten people have gotten mad at me about that because they're like, "Hey, I need a picture for this article, and could you send it to me?" Well, then I seen a PDF. Yeah, we deleted that. That's gone. I don't want to have your PDFs on the any of our servers or our drives or even in our cloud because if someone gets in there, they got your book and you're mad at me.
Yep.
Um, Rob, now when are you looking to announce the winners of the awards and the entrance to the Hall of Fame?
Well, the entrance will slowly be doing like me and Randy had talked about. I've reached out to a few people. We're trying to figure out. One of the people we've reached out to, Gary Reed, actually has an award ceremony of his own. So we're trying to figure out how we can honor Gary Reed and Will Eisner. Those are two people we really want. I mean, when Randy started talking about this, I was like, I know a little bit about Will Eisner. I don't really know everything about Will Eisner. I went out and I got his autobiography, and I'm listening to it now on Amazon because I know how much he means, and I realized I really don't know him well enough because I've listened to Lincoln's autobiography. Will Eisner is our Lincoln, basically. He's the one who sets us free from actual distributors and needing that. He shows us a path beyond going with the big two. And I really wanted to know about that person. And this is hopefully what's going to do is inspire other people to be like, wait a minute, who is Will Eisner? I want people to ask that. Like, I know Reed does an award for it, but who is he? I don't think they know who he is. I mean, there's a lot lost now. A lot of this new generation has no clue about the Wonder Woman origins, doesn't know that Superman was doing, the creators went off and made BDSM porn, basically, because they were mad at DC and were using the images of Clark Kent and Lois Lane to do it.
Yeah.
And so much of our history is getting lost now because these new creators come in and they're more worried about their idea being stolen. They haven't made a comic book. They're ready to give it to Hollywood for $1 million, but I can't tell you more about it.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And I had a similar experience with Will as you did with Buddy. I saw him at a San Diego con, and we showed him some stuff. And next San Diego con, he comes up to me, "How's Aero Comics going? How you doing? How's that going?" And I was like, "Holy crap! Will Eisner knows who I am. That's amazing." And then he showed up at a Motor City Con one time. We had him sign a program book. And I had to send somebody over because it was really good times for me at that show. And I wasn't able to get out there and see Will myself. And he took it up to Will and said, "This is for Randy." "Oh, yeah, okay." Boom, 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 boom. And, signed it over to me. "Good luck with Aero. Best of luck with Aero Comics." Boom. He knew who I was, what I was printing, what I was doing. Is amazing.
Yeah, that's in your sketchbook, isn't it, Randy? Was that?
No, I've got it in a drawer here in a file cabinet. I need to put it in a frame and hang it up. Is what I need to do. It's like to Randy, "Best of luck with Aero Comics." And it's that Will Eisner signature. That's just the loopy Signature's just amazing.
I used to think that Will Eisner was poking fun at Walt because the signatures are so
No,
similar.
that's not difficult to do when you're, you know,
Well,
it's just cursive in
I
action.
was told that it was actually like kind of like the signature of the time.
It's
It
not like
really
a
was.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because I didn't realize, like, he had a very deep history in the war. Like, listening to
Oh
his
yeah.
autobiography, like, there's
Mhm.
amazing stuff that this man was doing. But you look back at it and you realize, Will Eisner was alive during Disney's pop-up.
Yeah.
Basically, it's that same time frame, and because
He's got a real interesting past when you get into it because he did some stuff that was pretty shady. He had some lawsuits tossed his way when he first started. All of a sudden, Amazing Man, I think, pops to mind when Superman started up. But he went off on his own and did the Spirit section, which is really, if you look at it, one of the first independent comics that was really independent. He got the newspapers to carry it, went out there, found a whole different distribution system that he tried and that he kept running for 10, 12 years,
Mhm.
doing a section, a Spirit section, a color comic section in the newspaper every week. Even when he went off to war, he was sending scripts over to, and a lot of the people that worked for him, just like with Gary Reed and how important he is with modern independent comics. Will Eisner started the careers of a lot of people with his studio. And these guys were all doing the Spirit section while he was off World War II. What was he doing in World War II? He was doing instructional comics for the infantry on how to clean your gun and how to do all that because they figured out that the army grunt would much rather read a comic book and learn than to have a dry technical manual to learn stuff from. And that really got him into educational comics and doing all sorts of different commercial stuff.
Right.
So it's really a fascinating. If there isn't a biography out on him or a documentary, there will be soon. I'm telling you.
oh no, there is. I have the audio book. I'm
He's got
actually
it.
listening
Yeah,
to it.
he's got an amazing career. So it's
I
definitely
was
somebody to emulate and blaze quite a few trails.
I
So
was looking at the IndieVolt radio questions, and Diego sends in a question. He says that he was referring to our show from 2 weeks ago. Actually, well, our special we did with Rob. Actually,
mhm.
um, he was saying that in his country, they can't have a book like Rob's in his country. You know, you can, but it's legal. Rob, do you know now, like when you created Barbara Unleashed, it would not be able to go outside or go into certain countries? Were you
Yeah,
aware of that? Yeah.
I was very aware, and I still have to this date when anyone backs a project on my Kickstarter, I have
Hmm.
to be very careful who I'm sending it to because I don't want a diplomatic incident where I'm in the middle of something. And granted, it's usually just again, it's about human sexuality and forcing people into that triangle, and you can only be this way. But you don't also want to be the guy who's getting an extradition notice and having to go appear in another country. You don't you want to be famous, but not that famous.
Yeah, that's
That's the
infamous.
thing you don't want to do.
And every country has a different set of rules of what they judge as pornography or unprintable content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done issues of not we've, but there have been issues of the Dead comic that was done back in the '90s. I believe that was kind of had a holdup at the border because of the violent content.
Mhm. Uh, would you, Rob? Would you be okay with turning Barbara Unleashed into a film or a
No,
series? What do you
no,
think? Film or series?
if it was up to me, I'd do a series for two reasons. Series, it's a lot more accessible to a lot more people. Instantly, you get a bigger audience because you have to go to a movie theater and just imagine. I mean, 50 Shades of Grey suffered from this, and that was a horrible film. But it's like the hee hee ha ha. If I go to this film, people are going to judge me. When you're at home, you don't get judged, and I think people will be more comfortable actually viewing it in privacy and maybe even bringing the date over. Hey, look at this goofy thing, and it opens up a conversation between them. But when you go to a movie theater, it's kind of an awkward thing.
Yeah.
Even for those who've read it, it's not very sexual. The issues I've so far put out, it wouldn't be that shock and awe. For nowadays, it would probably honestly get a PG-13 most of the content. The reason it would get an R is simply because they wouldn't understand it and it'd be about BDSM, so they'd put the R on it. But if you really went by their rules, it would be a PG-13 film.
Todd McFarlane said back in the '90s that anytime you put hell in a graveyard in a movie, it was an instant R.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's why he said he had to do PG-13
Well,
on Spawn.
look at all the silly rules that the Comic Code Authority had back in the
Mhm.
50s. Just absolutely ludicrous.
There's a documentary. I think it's called "This Film Is Not Rated," but it's about the MPAA, and it's about their rules, and they go in and try to find out where they're from or who these people are, because the it's like it's completely kept like quiet, like who's in charge, who runs the organization, who's a member of the board, the committees. It's really, really, really like kind of shady. And they don't tell you what you can cut, or they'll tell you like if it's really like there's a scene where this character does this, you need to cut it. And yeah, it's a real bad situation they got with the MPA. Glad we don't have that in the comics. We almost did.
Oh
We
no,
almost
we
did.
did. We did.
Oh, yeah.
We did with the CCA, the Comic
Yeah.
Code Authority, and there were times that stuff was approved one issue and then suddenly weren't approved the next issue. That
Mhm.
they had to go through and edit and change. That was one of the things that broke them
Yeah.
over Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. is
Ren,
because
did you ever have to take
they
anything
were
out?
aiming in one direction. No,
No?
I never did anything that had to pass a CCA board. I mean, I've done work for clients that I've had to make an alteration here or there because of their considerations, but that's just client worker relationship.
Um, I'm a member of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. Every year I send in and I get my card and or a T-shirt or something, but usually the card. Um, so we don't have things like but they send out a newsletter, and they always let you know, hey, this is happening. This country took all the books out, all this graphic novel, and they burned them. And we're gonna send lawyers in, and we're gonna do this and this and that. And it's kind of cool to see. But then you think, that's how third world is that? You're gonna go into somebody's country and take all these books and take them outside and burn them. And
They've had a lot of trouble here in the states on content stuff. It's just you don't hear about a lot of that stuff, or it's quieted down a bit because folks have figured out what public standards basically are. And like I said before, you don't see those great old underground books as much as you used to that really went out there and were done intentionally to test those limits.
public standards. I have no standards publicly. Um, I wonder if now with with your are you gonna have a Vanguard Award, Rob?
Not so far. It might be there one day. Like I can tell you the different awards if you want.
Okay.
What we got going on. Hold on. I'm actually while we're talking, I'm actually answering questions about it. So I had it open. So remember I told you the Advocator Awards, that's based on our Advocator comic. We'll have the Community Builder this year, the Greater Good, and the Helping Hand. All people who have helped the community. And I really wanted to focus on that. I didn't want to make that out for discussion.
Right.
Because I'm been called the Indie Advocate. I figured I should be able to pick three people who are great. And then next year I want someone else to pick three people who are, that way it's constantly pushed on by people paying attention to the community. So this year I have three people that I don't think people will argue with. And I'm excited about that. Then there are the judge categories. So this will be judged by the 50 people. You'll have the Rookie Creator of the Year, which I think is exciting. Because how often do we actually acknowledge the rookies in indie comics? The people who just showed up. I mean, it takes a lot to make your first comic. That's the biggest moment, but it's also the most dangerous moment for a lot of creators. Do they go further? Have they done something more? Did they drop one book and go away? So we're looking for creators who kept going, who actually maybe released more than one issue in 1 year. The Originality Award, I love that one. This is asking people for something different. Like Randy said, something that pushes boundaries, something that isn't your normal Walking Dead ripoff or, capes and tights. It's something brand new. Like, blow us away. Let us see what you're creating. And you get the best one-shot, best short. I like this one because how many times you guys done an anthology and no one ever sees that story unless they buy the book? This is the way to bring it out of the book, to talk about it, and hopefully drive sales for the anthology, or maybe encourage you if you have the rights. And for anyone listening, if you ever do an anthology or short, always get the right to republish it at one point. It doesn't have to be in the first 5 years, but agree only if they let you reprint it later in your own personal trade or your own personal collection. Don't ever give away full rights for anything you create. Best artist of the year. That's going to be a harder one. That's going to be a big one. Starting today, actually, we have the best crowdfunding campaign, which will be interesting. And then we have creator of the year starts on the 20th, most visual appealing cover in 2019, which Randy helped me get the wording on that one right, because we didn't want it to just be like best cover, because that sounded weird. So we wanted something that was like, wow, blow us away, show us what you can do artistically. Best overall comic book of 2019. That one's going to be a big one, and I'm sure people's feelings are going to get hurt on that one. But, you can only have one winner. That's just the truth. And I know a couple stories that definitely should be in the running for that. This one's an interesting one. Indie Publisher of 2019. I really want to see what publishers step up and want to be in that conversation. Plus, I would love to see the fact that all these publishers are showing that they're out there. So other creators know, hey, look, there are publishers going on that aren't Marvel and Disney and DC and Warner Brothers. They're actually real people publishing books. Because I don't think, like, how many times have you guys said that you're part of a publisher and they're like, oh, I never heard of you?
Yeah,
and,
it happens. Yeah,
this is a way for all the publishers to kind of get together for once and say, look how powerful indie is. Look how many different publishers there are. And I think that's important with all these categories. It's coming out of the woodwork, coming together, like Randy said, stopping being territories and all supporting each other. So that's what I'm excited about with that. And then we have some people choices categories. Wasn't a huge fan of this, but I was told that I had to do this and this. So, because whenever you give it to the people, and I see it already, you have people pushing it and going to their fan base. And I guess you're supposed to do that, but then people start messaging me, did you see what they did? They put it on their Kickstarter. And I'm like, good. That means more people are looking. Stop being jealous. Put it on your Kickstarter. If it worked, do what they did. That's what indie comics is. Look at what your people who are around you are doing. When you see that work, you do it. Don't complain about it. Don't limit it,
Yeah.
So they'll get best new series. They'll get web comic of the year, comic book writer of the year, best anthology, and best on-air talent, which you guys should join for that one. You guys
Paris will join that one. We are comics most educated panel. That's right.
I like being on this show. I love it, and I really want to see you guys there. I think that one I can even nominate you guys for. I don't think that's a self one, and I can put you in if you're okay with it.
Yeah,
I'm okay. You guys do great stuff, and that's why we've been covering you so much. You guys see in the link, I put it on our site. I really promote this because I think you guys break ground. And you make actually people think about things. What's up, Travis?
How's it going, Travis?
I think you guys make people actually have a conversation and not just stay in their little, what do they call it? The safe space. I poop and pee.
Appreciate it, Travis. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Travis.
We try. And we get Randy gets harassed for it. I
can take it.
I took my head in like, we're.
I don't get harassed for your hat though.
No. I take all the harassment for my hat. There's what we try to do with the show is we try to have both sides on. I'm probably gonna piss a lot of people off in a minute. In a second here because
that's just normal.
Yeah, because we talk about what Indiegogo campaigns are running, what Kickstarter campaigns are running. And we've been accused of people have gotten mad at us for even like talking about books from the unpopular side of the industry. Especially
everybody has an unpopular side of the industry. So
yeah,
let's not go there.
Depends on what.
There are certain people that make me go off too. So,
but we'll cover a book from Gail Simone. And the same breath cover a book from Ethan Van Sciver. We just like good comic books, and I think that's where even indie advocates. I don't think that I know for sure Rob has covered books and people's appearances at Comic-Con and their crowdfunding attempts of people that actually have issues with him. Because. Okay, I got to do this. This is the job he took on, and he's been doing it. So yeah, we're okay with taking that type of abuse. Randy laughs it off. It's kind of cool to him.
I actually wrote. You guys, you'll find this amusing in a way. I wrote because there's been a lot of talk, especially like I've gotten a lot of heat for just lately. Like people have been coming out of the woodwork trying to attack me for actually my sexuality, and there's the normal stuff with Barbara Unleashed and things with indie advocates. Oh, you're just doing it to make yourself popular and make millions of dollars. And I keep asking, where's the money? I keep forgetting to get the money. It's like when people talk to me about, oh no, you're just doing this for that, and I'm like, can you forward me your check then? Can you pay me? But I did an open letter to all my haters today, where I basically forgave them all for their transgressions towards me. I talk about it, and I don't curse. I'm not rude, but I'm honest about it. And I wanted to do that because I wanted people to realize that I don't hold anyone accountable for very long. Like if you come up to me, we have a video, we go head to head. Yeah, we're going to go head to head. But I don't got time in my life to hold hatred for a person who's biased. I don't have time to hold, even if you don't like me, it's okay. There are billions of people. We don't have to like each other. Not everyone's got to be friends. But we all got to respect each other. When it comes to comic books, we all got to stand up and fight for each other and fight for each other's rights. It's one thing I don't like about the whole Comicsgate nonsense where people like, they're Comicsgate. I was like, I don't care about their politics. I care what they create. I care who they are as a person. Because I know a lot of people in Comicsgate who are great people who just have a different opinion and will tell you they don't agree with the extreme side of the Comicsgate. And Comicsgate itself has been exploding over the last year to give birth to smaller little groups within itself. But no one knows that because the other side never got a cool name and they just attack me and they just attack what I'm creating and try to censor me.
Yep.
So I'm in the middle. I don't care either way. Just don't come at me, because when you do, I'll come back.
Yeah.
And you guys have seen that. I have no problem. You call me out, I'll show up. And it's funny. One of my friends had tagged me in a post where people were apparently bashing me in a little indie comic group, and I'm blocked in this group. And it's like Indie Rocks or something. It's like a very small, like there's like 200 people, and they blocked me for some reason. I have no idea because I don't pay attention. Remember when you used to just get added to groups?
Yeah.
Standards and practices, Colin.
You just
all right.
You get added to groups, and you were like, "Why am I in this group?" So I got blocked from it. My friend tagged me in it, and I sent him a message because when I looked at the tag, it didn't go anywhere. I couldn't see it, and I'm like, "What was that?" He's like, "What do you mean?" He looked at the link. The minute he tagged me, he said, "It looks like they deleted it because they didn't want me to come because they knew if I came, I was gonna make it an issue."
Yeah.
So it's kind of good that I've gotten that kind of almost respect in that way. Like, Rob's coming. Everyone scatter.
Yeah.
Run away. People don't tag me in things anymore because when they tag me, I show up and I'm like, "Hi guys, what are we talking about? Let's have a conversation."
Yeah.
What's this?
No, just some people are just too happy trolling.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Rob, because you Rob Anthony says that means shit. Look at H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah. I mean, what H.P. Lovecraft had a cat that
Had a cat that what?
His cat was named. Was that H.P. Lovecraft who had the cat that was I think it was H.P. Lovecraft had a cat that had a name that was quite Let me see. Hold on. Let me check it out. Let's see.
I'm not quite sure. I wasn't sure what Rob was getting at there with H.P. Lovecraft. Been listening to a lot of his stuff on online.
H.P.
Horror Babble on YouTube. Oh my God. Anyway, that's all
H.P. Lovecraft's cat was named Inward Man.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's funny because when you normally say that, and you'll talk to a lot of black people and you ask them about H.P. Lovecraft, and they'll be like, "Oh, H.P. Lovecraft is awesome," and then they'll find out what his cat's name was, and then they're like, "Fuck that guy." He doesn't. I don't like him. I don't like his art. I don't mean his art. I don't like anything. He doesn't like his writing. Anything he's done.
I missed the connection there somehow.
Well, no. Let me see. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Rob Anthony knew what I was talking about. Yes. Which is 1 second. I got a message from iNDIEVOLT Radio. Okay, it was telling me that. Okay, hey Randy, we actually broke 1,002 on iNDIEVOLT Radio right now. Listening
awesome.
live. Yeah.
Thank you everybody for listening in. We hit that 4-figure.
Do I have to hit the
It's all good. Yes,
like
you do.
yeah,
Here, I can hit it.
okay.
I'll get up there.
We have to hit the
Oh, not that one.
that's the roses. Yeah.
That's the roses. Where's the other one?
I have no idea.
I'm looking. Oh, there's this one.
Oh, there it is. Here it is.
We
There
hit
it
a
is.
thousand. We hit 1,000. Anyway, you were
Yeah,
saying?
it's right there. There it is. Hit 1,000 listeners. 1,002 listeners right on IndieVolt Radio. That's cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
IndieVolt. That's a nice landmark to hit,
Yeah.
especially well, for us, it's Thursday morning. Everywhere else, it's probably afternoon or evening. It's all good.
So yeah, we'll take that.
We will.
Rob, do you when actually, and as an indie creator, Rob, when you see numbers, what are normal numbers like on a funded campaign?
Oh, that's so hard because there's so
That's what
many
he said.
variables, you know. But no, but there really are some factors because is it an
There it is.
anthology? Is it a black and white book? Is it a color issue? Is it a short issue? Is it a brand new creator?
Mhm.
And you know, some people have like, oh my God, look at how much money they raised, and then you look at it and they have 50 backers, but they raised $10,000 because they have limited edition covers and all that. For me personally, I use Kickstarter just to get readers. I don't really look at it as a way to crowdfund. I've never really crowdfunded too much on Kickstarter. I usually put in low goals and I'm in and out. I don't care about it. I just want to offer it to people. It depends on your budget. Like, what do you need to raise? And I think some people who go out there to their first comic to raise $10,000 and it's a 24-page book. I kind of like balk at that. Like, really? Like, yeah, that's a pretty expensive. You better have a hell of a book for $7,000 to $10,000. You know, because I know I can make 5 books with that budget.
And then you take that sucker, you print the logo, you print the address on the back of your phone. we
They can squeeze it and stuff it in a mailbox. Yeah.
Dave Brown says, hello, Dave. Happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Dave.
Dave's
birthday, Dave.
birthday, and he's excited about that. I'm pretty sure he's younger than me. I just found out, so I don't like that.
Great creator. He was actually the artist on the Jax book I did.
Oh, was he? Okay. Rob Anthony says crap content of character, but did a lot for horror in terms of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And yeah. Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. I have to mute my mic for a second. Give me 1 minute.
A lot of these guys were, especially in the old pulp days, had very eccentric careers. You know, if you ever get a chance to see Whole Wide World, the movie, Renee Zellweger and D'Onofrio, where they show Robert E. Howard. They didn't show him in a real positive light, but they did try to show him realistically. It's a very interesting movie, dry but interesting.
It's sad that we're losing our history because people are afraid to be upset about what's happened in our past. Like I saw something where some like social media influencer was trying to go out and say we shouldn't talk about World War II. It's damaging to our health. It makes us sad. And it's like, yeah, butterfly, it's supposed to make you sad.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you're supposed to know this so you never try to do this again.
It really bothers me, a lot of the self-censoring when they go through and want to reprint comics.
Yep.
And you get somebody bent out of shape because that's the wrong stereotype, instead of addressing the fact that, yes, it's the wrong sterotype, but look at the quality of this artwork.
Well, yeah, it's that saying, you know, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it.
Oh, very much so.
Rob, the reason I brought that up about the money that most crowdfunding campaigns bring in is because no matter what side of the fence you're on, 100,000 is impressive. Iron Sights two Psychos brought in 100,000.
Well,
he broke 100,000.
Yeah,
but look at that, 2,000 backers.
Yeah,
2,167 backers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. To me, that is absolutely amazing. It's 95. What is it? 95,000 in American. So I guess it's Canadian. Maybe.
Yeah, you probably got some Canadians, some overseas backers. Yeah.
But that's still amazing. And
I mean, you get the book for 25,000 a pin up.
The second book that he did, or the second Iron Sights book that he did. If you scroll down, you'll see that a lot of the money coming in are from people buying number 1 again or for the first time. So this is actually more also boosting his first book as well as boosting his second book.
Now, would this be Comicsgate?
Yeah,
Yeah, technically, it's your boy Zach, the guy who does Comics Matter.
Richard
He used to
Meyer.
do diversity in comics. I don't know if he's I don't know if he's on that label because the Comics Gate as a label is crap anyway. It's more of an attitude or a philosophy than and an easy pigeonhole for the SJWs to stuff you in. Oh, you're CG. You have to be a racist bigot
But
bastard.
100,000 is impressive. That's a lot of money. I don't see a
By
lot of
any stretch,
a
it's a
lot of
living.
campaigns making that. That's an impressive amount of money for a book.
Not just that, but you really have to look at these campaigns as to why they're making the money that they're making, especially Ironsides. Ironsides is definitely hitting a market out there as a certain amount of people. Not everybody is going to be reading that book. Not everybody wants to read that book. But just like way back in the good old days when you used to have paperback books made for everybody, you had Harlequin romances that were out there that a lot of the guys weren't reading, and you had the Mac Bolan executioners out there. A lot of the girls weren't reading, but they were hitting specific niche markets. And you're not seeing that right now, especially in mainstream comics, as they're trying to hit some propaganda progressive level that they want to sell over and over again. So a lot of these crowdfunding campaigns are out there looking at niche markets that they're finding.
Um,
You know,
uh, question from IndieVolt Radio from Harold. Harold says, why why does Zach and Ethan keep putting out these books? The end of the year has not occurred yet. They're effing up the tax brackets. Um,
well,
um,
Ironsides especially. Zach's addressed this. One of the cool things about these guys that have streaming, most of the time they're pretty transparent about why they're doing that. Ironsides 2 is closing before the end of the year on purpose, so that he has that for that physical year for his taxes.
yeah,
Because every dollar that they get, believe it or not, they have all of these campaigns they have to claim,
yeah.
and there's no way you're going to be able to. There's no way to hide it. It's right there on the web. Anybody
Robbie,
could audit these people at any second, so they have to be careful about how that money's brought in, how that money's spent. They have to keep track of their expenditures and the money coming in and going out in order to show that they're spending this money towards those books.
Rob, do you ask at some point? Do you say, okay, this person made 800,000. This person made 100,000 because there have been people making 800,000. Um,
Mm-hmm.
do you ask at some point? Okay, I gotta figure out what these guys are doing, what kind of water they're drinking, because like we get excited when we get 10 grand.
I
Um,
think I think with a lot of that, to answer your question, of course you pay attention, and I think what people don't acknowledge is that Comicsgate is a community that it is together. It is a movement, and not everyone believes in the politics, and they forget that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And not all, some of them just want old school comics. And so to some people, when they see the word Comicsgate, it means they're not going to have to read something that they feel like an agenda is going to be shoved down their throat. And that's just the truth. And like, I would never be Comicsgate because I'm too much in the middle of everything, and like you said, I don't have a problem with either side.
mhm.
But to say that they're completely wrong is absolutely absurd. And I have this problem with my friends who are so anti Comicsgate. Oh, they're all evil people, and I'm like, they're really not. You just don't know any of them, or the people you know who are won't tell you that they are, because they're terrified of telling you that they just don't want Batman turned into a black character, not because they have anything against black people, but because they love Batman the way he is and they grew up with him, and they just want that left alone.
Mhm.
And then they'll go out and they'll buy a new book if you make a strong black character. They're fine with that, and it's not that they're racist, but that gets all lost.
Yeah.
And what happens instead is, no, you're racist. You're in the way of progression.
Well, I think too, geeks of anything, we start having this idea where we claim ownership of the characters.
Mhm.
I'm gonna embarrass myself here a bit, but I'm a big as a kid, big fan of Alvin the Chipmunks. And I remember when my aunt was like, well, here, you should watch the Alvin show. And I don't know how she did this, but she went and got a VHS tape of the old Alvin show cartoons before Alvin the Chipmunks. And I'm looking at this very crudely drawn art, and Dave doesn't look like Dave, and Alvin doesn't like Alvin. I mean, they do, but they look like very triangular, almost. I want to say Hanna-Barbera looking. You know, it's the art style is different, and I'll watch it. And I enjoyed it, but that wasn't my Alvin. And years later, you know, I had Alvin from my childhood. Well, now they've given my son Alvin the Chipmunks, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, this is crap. I'm thinking to myself, like, this is not my Alvin, and the movies are even worse. But like, this is not my Alvin. This is not. But this is Alvin for you know. Jax and for Randy, for your granddaughter, and for my son, this is their Alvin. But I feel a bit of I feel a sense of ownership, and I feel a little sense of betrayal because you know. So I might take Alvin back the way he was. So with Batman, I understand because I grew up with Batman being Bruce Wayne.
But it's also a little different than just updating a contemporary idea. But imagine if you're Alvin, you went to go see, you sat down with a kid that's younger, and suddenly Alvin and the Hedgehogs come on, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not at all right. Why are they hedgehogs now? Did you explain how different their life would be? Because I had this argument where someone was talking about making Michael B. Jordan Batman, and I was like, first off, I don't like him as an actor for it.
Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah. I don't think he'd make a good Bruce Wayne Batman. That's a whole other discussion. It's just not. I think he's a great actor. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he can pull off the dark side because Killmonger still was too much of a smartass. You know, he'd make a good Nightwing. But I made this point. I said, okay, and now I want to write it for DC. If you turn Batman into a different ethnic background, you have to address it. So what if a black family gets gunned down in a crime-ridden city? Are they going to be accused of being part of the crime now? So as Batman grows up, is he really going to go after the Joker, or is he going to go after a multi-million-dollar company that possibly killed his parents because he was accused and always saw criminals being made of minorities? So he might not attack minorities. He might not be going after the Joker, and the Joker might be wearing a suit in this version. And it might be someone who's running a corporation, and kind of like Batman Beyond, he went after corporations at first. And I saw that being a huge pivot point. And I'm like, if you're going to do that, and that's where people don't like it, because you suddenly flip the character and it's no longer him. But if you pass it on and you give it to someone else, and because you can pass the cowl on, and I said that, you can make anyone Batman. If you're going to do that, don't make him Bruce Wayne. Give him a new name, give him a new family, make it something different, make it its own thing. If you want to pass the cowl, same thing, like most of these costumes, let's be honest, can be passed. It's not impossible to pass it. But when you turn a character, and Miss Marvel, what's her name? Carol Danvers, right?
Yeah.
She has been one of the most complex, destroyed characters ever used.
Literally obliterated.
Comic books.
Yep.
And the fact that they parade her out, I'm just waiting for her to be Hispanic next week. You know, because they just do everything to her.
Dead on. Yep.
You know, like we'll just make her Hispanic next week, and then the following, because they don't respect her character at all. Like I keep saying, like I love her Brie Larson being in the MCU because I can't wait till the X-Men show up with Rogue. You know, and no one gets the joke because no one understands that character because again, we've lost our history, and you have all these new kids who just understand it as this one character. And it's like, oh, honey, go read the history. You're going to be in for a lot.
And they should have created a fresher character, or better still, have used Monica Rambeau as a masthead for that company. She's sitting right there.
You know, there was a character
right there would have been easily done.
I want to say it was a Mark Miller character, but I could be wrong. But it was a character. I think it was a black character. He was Batman, though. It was basically a Batman ripoff, but he only beat up white characters. He only beat up white criminals.
There's Blackwing that was part of the New 52 that ran around in South Africa.
You know, but this is a character that I think Mark Miller created for his Miller World.
Oh yeah,
but,
yeah. Yep.
He was a black Batman, but he only went and beat up white characters.
A lot of the Miller World is derivatives of previously established tropes that he took and made his own. So,
Trico says I had Gargoyles, the series created because Disney was jealous of Batman, the animated series. RG was walking by and stopped in her tracks and stood there watching the whole episode and asked, "What is this?" It had diverse characters and great stories, but didn't exist just to have diverse characters, and that's true.
Right.
That is true. They said did not know Michael B. Jordan was mentioned for Batman. Other they said Superman. Interesting. I think that was a private conversation though that he was having. Was that conversation with somebody else, or was that?
No, he had been mentioned a year ago to actually
Okay.
be when they started talking about casting before they got Sparkle Boy. What's his name?
Pattinson.
Pattinson. And I think he's going to be good. I tease him about the Sparkle. I actually think he's going to be good. He after being embarrassed, being cheated on in public, I think he has a very dark side now.
No, I think you'll be able to carry it off. But
the director will be like, consider that person Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
I remember getting really upset with Chris. I wasn't upset. I was playfully upset, but he had suggested Jack Black for Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And I'm like, what?
Jack Black was also really close to being Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
Green Lantern.
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Really close.
Yeah. I could put no. Rob, have you been watching The Crisis?
Oh yeah.
Up, down.
Oh, all the way. I didn't actually read The Crisis, believe it or not, when it first came out. I know about it, of course.
That's why you give it a thumbs up.
I know the whole thing, but I didn't read the whole Crisis because it was so many different things. So I went back and I started reading The Crisis again. And I was like, wow, like this is like a lot more to it than I expected. And there were a lot more intricacies. But I actually think that CW is doing it better than Marvel. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but I really like the fact that this is, I know that people are calling it fan service, but I'm okay with it. I am so cool to see the Batman. I mean, we finally got the real Batman to suit up.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, the funny thing was I seen someone on YouTube call it what these new critics are calling fan service is just actually this media reconnecting with its roots.
Mm-hmm.
People calling it fan service. No, they're just doing it right now. They're just hey, look, this is where we came from.
You're seeing a lot of that, especially now with Rise of Skywalker being critiqued, because a lot of the critics are going, "Oh, it's fan service," but really, what it is catering to the money. That's what it flat out. That's what fan service. You're catering to the money. That's the thing that's made the CW shows what they are. Is that they keep bringing in characters that the fans of comics wouldn't mind seeing live action. Oh, hey, remember Ragman? Who remembers Ragman?
Oh, I did. I loved Ragman.
Here's Ragman.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Look at this.
Yeah. Never brought him back. Did they? Have they brought him back?
Yeah, that's their mistake too, because they should have. But the rags were a little expensive effects wise.
Yeah.
But the big thing with the CW shows that I learned real early on is you have to brain check it. You know, it's just like watching the next any superhero adaptation in other media. It's not really 100% the comic. It's a different universe, different characters. Watch them run, you know. And it's been really fun, and especially with Crisis, there's a lot of stuff that you have to brain check on and go, well, that doesn't make sense, but it's cool.
But I don't understand. So fan service is a bad thing. As a fan, you're going to do everything I want you to do.
To the critics, it is. Yeah, now it is.
Yeah, because they want, like, you know, Hal Jordan to be a ballerina who's struggling with drug addiction. You know, that's what they want, and it's that's why your like The Irishman was so boring that even, you know, critics fell asleep during it, because you're trying to go to those old tropes that don't work anymore. Because the mob can't operate the way they used to operate, and we all know they can't operate the same way.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not contemporary, but comics always have a way to, you know, as much as you hate the reboots, some of those things do get contemporary, and they do challenge things. And I think when you take away this forced agenda that a lot of people talk about and feel in comics, and I see it in some comics, it's there. Whether we want to admit it as a group of humans or not, it's there. When you take that away and you let creators just create, you'd be amazed how many times those same tropes will wind up in a story, but it won't be forced.
Yes.
It'll just be acknowledged, because that's what comics used to do. Comics have always had a political history, but they never shoved it down your throat. It was never a glove that goes to the horse, but instead of going up the horse's ass, it's going down your mouth, because they're trying to reach into you and make you change your mind. Even when I wrote the fetish book, I couldn't force things down people's minds, down their throat. I had to take the time to write a compelling story that made people like the character, that made people sort of go, wow, I never thought of that. Instead of being like, first page fetish is good, go fuck yourself. I couldn't do that, But that's what some of these things feel like, especially when you see Captain Marvel and Iceman arguing about a gender of an alien child. And it's like, why? Why? Like, you've seen that one, Randy, right?
Yeah. No, I didn't see that particularly, but I know a lot of which you speak.
Yeah, and it's like don't do that. Like
Yeah.
Let's not have gender wars inside of the comic books. Let everyone else figure that out. If you want to trickle it in every so often, cool. But don't start doing that. Don't make it a war against culture. Stop. Like, comic book fans, we want to get away from that. That's why we don't watch CNN. I kid with everyone. I don't read horror comics because there's CNN.
Yeah.
Why would I need a comic? I go to comics this actually, and I said this on a video yesterday because we did a year-end wrap-up. I miss the Superman that was all good at this point. I like my dark vigilantes, but everyone's trying to be dark. Where's the good character who cannot be beaten? And Crisis gave that hope back to me. When I got to see the Superman who had his family lost, who lost all that, but still had that S and talked about light shining through. Of course, I read Kingdom Come, so I know it's not that. It's not that simple. But this, the fact that he said it, we need more of that. And then you get DC, like Warner Brothers, we don't know how to make Superman.
Yeah.
Read a comic book. Please, God, go off and read a comic book. Try that. Stop trying to reinvent the characters. Like the Joker. I still don't really want to see the Joker because why did you call it the Joker? Everyone has told me it's really not the Joker. Then why make it? I wanted, it could have been like the third Joker film, but the very first Joker film, you fuck it up. Right away. Where's Batman? Like, Joker's got like a bro crush on Batman. Let's just be honest.
I said I'm back. What did I miss? Oh yeah, we've been discussing how we discussed Crisis. We talked about Randy's ever whitening beard.
My ever whitening beard. I don't think that came
up. We'll all eventually get whitening beard. Simon says, loved Man of Steel, just not what they did with his father and Lois was not Lois. I liked was it Amy Adams? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I liked her Lois. I did not. I'm getting tired of him killing Pa Kent.
I really liked what they did with that Costner did in Man of Steel. I thought he was really good, but I liked Glenn Ford in Reeves' Superman better because that's the whole point. And I had this discussion with a lot of people. The whole point of Superman isn't the fact that he is a Boy Scout or does good. It's the fact that he was taught morals. He was taught morals in the middle of the United States. It's not the fact really that he was an alien, that he could do whatever he wanted to, but he doesn't because he was taught a set of morals and American middle of the continent, in the middle of a fly-by state, whether it's Presbyterian or whatever. He learned right and wrong from the Kents. And that's the whole motivation for his character.
Simon says the heart attack was a very important part of the Superman mythos. I think it was, but Pa Kent wasn't there in the comics.
Well, I didn't like how they bumped Costner off. No, that was idiotic. But the basic lessons where he's pulling Clark aside and going, "What are you going to do?"
Yeah, and I agree.
You can take his head off, but do you really want it?
And to go back to like a lot of the forced agenda, and I was at a panel. We do a panel of diversity. We talk about sexual orientation. And of course, I do the fetish part. We bring on all people from different walks of life. We talk about diversity in comics and even women being represented in comics. And at one panel, someone stood up and said, "You know what I didn't like about the Superman show was that there wasn't much diversity." And like what was it? The Smallville. Smallville didn't have a lot of diversity, and I think that makes that show now looking at it a bad show. And it had been off the air, what, a decade now?
Yeah.
So in the middle of the panel, I went and I said this. Someone Google this and check me while I'm saying this, but I think that we have to be realistic. He grew up in Kansas. Kansas is not known for diversity.
Yep.
So to put a lot of diversity in that show, I think you would have kind of made everyone go, wait a minute, this feels forced.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understood that. And like he said, it was about morals. It was about where he grew up. It's a lot different there. And you see his family struggles with money the whole time. Superman could go out and be an MMA boxer and win every battle, but he was raised not to take advantage of his powers. And I think people forget that. And they only look at it now like, well, how come it's not diverse? How come it's not this? How come he's not a bad person? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And it's because they're, believe it or not, people are still raised with morals. People still care about doing the right thing, and people still open doors for other people.
And I was
getting that.
And I would suggest to anybody who doesn't. If you Sim said something. I'm sorry. He says the only thing he's really powerless. There's the only time he's really powerless is that heart attack. And then don't forget Superman is half Canadian. He's right, half Canadian and created in Ohio. He's an Ohioan.
Out of Cleveland.
What's the name of the movie?
What's that, Standards and Practices again?
It very well may be. Let's see it. Yeah. What is the name of the movie that James Gunn did? Brightburn. Brightburn is a dark retelling of Superman's story. Have you seen that, Rob?
No, I want to. Jack's being around, I can never always watch what I want to watch.
Okay.
I hear you. Yeah.
And that everyone told me don't take Jax to that one.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
I let my 9-year-old watch it with me, and he was like this. His eyes were wide the entire time. But it's funny because he knows that movie back and we only watched it one time, but he knows that movie back and forward. So in Smallville, didn't they change Pete Ross from a ginger to an African American? Yes, and you know why?
Yes, they did.
You know why? Rearrange those letters in ginger. That's why he got that. That's every redhead is being every ginger person is being changed into a black African American character, and it's because subconsciously in the back of their minds they're taking that word ginger. They are moving the words around, the letters
to the front.
Yep, moving the end to the front, and there's a couple other letters being switched around there, and that's why they're doing it, and they're doing it subconsciously, and they think they're doing it subconsciously or they're doing it on purpose, like take that. That's my theory. I'm running with it. I'm making a big stink of it lately.
That's well you should.
Yeah, I complain to Randy. Like, watch the redhead. What? Look at it. Hermione.
When you said that to me, I said, kind of makes sense.
Hermione from Harry Potter. Run with it. Redhead. What is she? She's black now. Mary Jane. Redhead. She's black now. Yep. Was Iris West ever red? Was she ever redhead?
No.
Okay.
I think she was brunette.
Yeah, she was brunette, right?
Yeah.
She had highlights though.
I do like Iris and Flash.
She's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the Iris and Flash. I think she's awesome.
That everything, CW Flash, everything that they did, I had no problem with them changing, the West Allen skin tone.
Yeah.
No problem with that at all. And plus, they went out and they found the best actors that they possibly could to portray it. And you're not getting any kind of stereotype there. They're acting like Midwestern people.
I do think that it's going to be impossible to have a black Robin at some point, though. And here's why. The Black Robin shows up. Commissioner Gordon's got to put it together. Like, okay, look, Bruce, I've been playing this game for a while like I didn't know. Every time you get a new ward, you're like Michael Jackson at this point. Every time you get a new ward, a new Robin shows up. Now you got this black kid living with you, and all of a sudden, Robin's got to fade. Gonna have to ask what's going on here. Also, I don't think Gotham really cares. Batman's endangering a child. He should be locked away. Child endangerment.
Well, just the outfit from the original Robin is child.
Yeah, like, what is that boy wearing? Shut up. Okay, all right.
Showing his legs.
Yeah. His young muscular legs.
All I hear is Dave Chappelle special in my head right now. What was he wearing?
Yeah. What was that young boy wearing when? I think that Robin is and now we got what we have Robin, we have Drake and Nightwing, because there's no more Red Robin. It's all she's Drake now. Nightwing though, you still got Nightwing.
Yeah,
but yeah. Oh my goodness, those characters, these
Much
characters.
to the disgust of Dan Didio.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to kill that character for as long as he's been. Apparently, that's the rumor, at least.
He will. He'll eventually do it. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. We're
It's at
about
that
ready to.
time. It's
Yeah,
that time.
yeah, yeah. We are. Let me. Rob, where can people find you on social media and online to argue with you about your
Um,
politics and comics?
that's easy. Just go find me on Anderson Rob on Facebook. I had to switch it because someone else took my name. Once I got popular, people steal your stuff. So look for Anderson Rob, and you can find me in a Google search just putting in the Indie Devil. I'm that easy to find now. Google pops me up right away. Even Google knows not to mess with me.
and if they want to get up to date on the Indie Comic Creator Awards or Indie Creator Awards, where can they do that at?
IndieAdvocates.com. It's now in our menu bar, and it's also in our featured stories.
Cool, cool. Mr. Zimmerman, where can they
Yeah.
find you?
I'm the Zim Geek channel on YouTube. You can reach me through Facebook. You can reach me through Twitter on the as Randy Zim. I don't social media much any other place. So
Besides Facebook, really?
my next show is
Except for Facebook, you're
except for Facebook.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm usually there just to spread funny memes with
yeah.
blondes pointing at white cats. So. My next show is end of February at the Great Lakes Con. My next personal show is here in Flint, April 18th. The Flint Comics Con will be at the Flint Farmers Market,
Cool, cool.
April 18th. So
I'll be there. I'll be there.
hope so.
If you want to write in a question to us, you can do so by writing into IndieVolt Live at indievolt.com. Include IndieVolt Live in the subject field, and please keep those emails to 90 words or less. And maybe, just maybe, we will read them here on the air.
And keep an eye on your spelling.
Yeah, please do, because I'm not going to fix it.
We're going to start picking on them.
Also, you can take IndieVolt Radio with you wherever, because we have people listening on IndieVolt Radio right now. They were just really cool. 1,002 people.
Awesome.
Right now, we're at 1,012, so that's cool.
Thank you, everybody.
IndieVolt Radio is a perfect companion to our official website, indievolt.com. IndieVolt Radio plays the best in indie music, entertainment, news, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can music from talent like Chemical, Park Squares and Alleys, and Dims One. Download the IndieVolt Radio app on Android, Google Play Store, or listen in with the streamer app on iOS. You can also check out IndieVolt Radio by visiting our official indievolt.com website and utilizing the built-in player below. And then finally, IndieVolt TV. It's over-the-top streaming service available on Roku and coming very soon to Amazon Fire Stick and more. Stream independent movies, music videos, wrestling, original documentaries, and more on IndieVolt TV. And did I mention that it is absolutely 100% free? IndieVolt TV, you can find it by searching the channel store on Roku or your Roku-enabled television.
We're still waiting for Spotify to approve those broadcasts.
We are.
Listed.
Yeah, because we're on Spotify now too. So yeah, I got an email from them too. I think I gotta upload something else, something else they wanted me to upload. Certificate.
Sorry, there's too many calls from standards and practices for us to run this on. Yeah, I can see that.
All right, so guys, thanks for joining me. We will see everybody back on Tuesday, unless news breaks and we just got to cover it. We'll see everybody back here Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till then, I have been Varian Grant, and remember to live every day. Treat it like it's your last, because one day you're gonna be right.
It will be. Thanks for being here, folks. Thanks for listening.